Mr. Teng Beng Lee.
Yes.
Founder, Chief Executive, Medispec, pharmaceutical wholesale and distribution business.
Correct.
Started this business many years ago, exited in 2021.
Correct.
For a healthy profit, healthy sum, and now happily retired but still investing actively.
Yes.
And your wife is still in business. Let's start at the start, where you started in as a child of parents from Penang. Obviously humble beginnings, right?
Yes.
And even in those days, I think you wanted to do something interesting, something outstanding. You told me that you actually qualified to be a fighter pilot in Singapore. You went to Singapore. Talk to me about those days and how those days shaped you to be who you are now.
Actually, I came from a humble family, and my dream at that time was to become a fighter pilot. Not a commercial pilot, but become a fighter pilot. But because I feel my bahasa and there's no way that I can get into RMAF. So when I saw an advertisement in the papers that Singapore Air Force wanted pilots, so I applied. I get to go for the interview. But the problem is how to go, I got no money. Yeah. Then I asked my grandmother gave me $20. But $20 isn't enough for me to fly or take a train or to Singapore. So I hitchhiked down. I hitchhiked down 4 times to Singapore for the interview. First time they measure your limbs, they wanted the pilots to be able to sit comfortably in the Hunter jet. So after that first exercise, they send you back and then they say you wait for their another letter. So I came back, 2 weeks later, they called me for another interview. So I went there for another hitchhike down again.
So then you didn't join the Air Force?
Out of thousands, I was the last 3 selected. They even sent me for air grading, 6 hours of air grading in Singapore.
Then what happened?
And they asked me to surrender my Malaysian citizenship.
Oh, deal breaker. Deal breaker.
Yeah, and I came back there, and I saw an advertisement in the papers that the RMAF was giving a subsidy for those who are below 21 years old, who are keen to take up flying. They give subsidy. And I went for the interview, I got it.
So then you did join the Air Force in Malaysia?
No. Then I joined the Penang Flying Club because the subsidy was given through the Penang Flying Club. So that's how I chalked up 327 hours on the light aircraft.
So you started life as a medical rep, right? You were working as an employee for a number of years.
I worked for 7 years with a German company, Merck. And that was the first and last pharmaceutical rep job. Then I started my own business.
How did you start?
At that time, I didn't have money, and my sister gave me $100,000 seed money. My sister had money.
Why do you think she believed in you?
Actually, I should also thank my mother lah. My mother said, you are so eager to start a business. You go and approach your sister lah. She can help you. Go and ask her. And one fine day, my sister lives in Hong Kong. So when she came to Penang for a holiday, I approached her, and she gave me the money.
Conditions, strings attached? Or?
No strings attached. But over the years, I paid her many times. I gave her more than 15 million in return.
So the first business you started succeeded. Is that how it went?
This is the first business I started.
And the only
I knew that I must not fail. I must not fail. There's no such thing as failing. You can see from my determination in getting into the Air Force, I really go for it. I have passion.
Where do you think that determination comes from? Because you've told me before, your schooling, academically, you were not really an academic, right?
Yeah. It's the passion that you want to become a pilot, Same thing, you start a business, you know the business, but you know that with this money that, somebody give it to you, you must not fail.
How do you explain that? Because how do you explain the determination? Because, schooling is schooling, right? And of course, as you said, some of the people who got 8 A's, 9 A's, 10 A's, they're not as financially well off as you, maybe, right?
But during my school days, actually, in whatever games I play, I captain.
Competitive lah.
I play hockey, I'm a hockey captain. I play softball, I'm a softball captain. I'm the house captain. Everything. I excel. I make sure I want to be the best, you know. That is the drive that I have.
So healthcare marketing, right? You went out there, and then you told me before that when you had a chance to go to Thailand, I think, with a friend of yours, even in those days, maybe you were quite short of cash, right? So it's only like some good luck that you managed to go on the trip. And then when you were there, you saw this.
When I quit the company, and this boss, this friend of mine was actually my ex-boss. He also left the company, Merck. And then he joined another pharmaceutical company, Smith Klein in French. And they were supposed to have a meeting in Bangkok, a regional managers conference meeting. So he asked me, Teng, why do you come with me? You can squat. I get free accommodation. You squat with me. You just have to buy your ticket. But at that time, 1985, the return air ticket to Bangkok was $414. I don't have the money. So finally I got it from my grandmother. Luckily, I made the trip. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the opportunity to bring in the line from Thailand.
What happened in Thailand?
Thailand, you know, I wrote to this company. And they told me that thank you for your interest shown in the company, but we have already got an agent in Malaysia, Sdn Bhd. So never mind. Nevertheless, I went to Bangkok. I called him up, and then I told him I must think of a way to bring him to see me in the hotel. So I told him that, you know, I know that you have a range of very interesting products which are patented, and you'd like to sell it in Malaysia. I'm sure that your current distributor in Malaysia wouldn't dare to do it. And he said, can you do it? Of course I can. Everything also can at that time. So he came to the hotel, and after a long chat, you know, he gave the line to me. 1 month later, he visited me in Malaysia, and we had a long chat, and he said, okay, tell me what you want, and I will support you. And I told him, what about contract? He says, why contract? If you can do, I will let you do, no need contract. Up to today, there's no contract.
So he basically took away the franchise from Sdn Bhd and gave it to you.
I think Sdn Bhd was already on the way out, you know. He says, you are the third agent in 2 years. You know, I wouldn't want to sign another contract.
So you met him at Padang Besar, I think you told me.
I saw the tablet is made in Thailand. I went to Hat Yai. I saw it on the shelf. Then I asked the pharmacist in that pharmacy to give me the address in English, because everything was in Thai. So when I went to Thailand, I called him up. That's how, you know.
The same determination again.
And then 30 years later, just a few years ago, I asked him, Mr. Sdn, why did you give me the line when I came to see you 30 years ago? You know what he said? You were hungry. You were hungry. I know that you know how to do the business, but you don't have the capital to do it. That's how when I started the company, I gave him 10% share, and his 10% share is worth a lot of money now.
How did you grow it, the business?
I first started as a one-man show. I go and get the orders, come back, everything. I'm the only one doing it. I'm a salesman. I'm the typist. And when the goods arrive, I take off my shirt and I carry the goods, you know. I deliver the goods, and slowly I build up the team. Add in more salesmen, put in the store people and all that.
At what point in time did it become less hard?
I would say that after about 10 years, about 10 years. It takes time, you know, to build a company.
What principles can you share with people about those first 10 years?
Hard work, lah. There's no shortcut, You know, I work until sometimes I go back to the office, and I work until morning, packing and all that. As we grow, we know that we cannot do these things anymore. We cannot do all these patent products anymore. We have to service. And the day that I started this company, since I started this company, there was only 1 year that we lose money. The first year, every year we make money, and we were very contented, you know.
Do you think it's luck that you landed in healthcare? Because healthcare is something that every year becomes more and more and more important. I think you told me before that if you're going to do a new business today, it will still be in healthcare.
If you're in pharmaceutical, anything got to do with healthcare, you won't go wrong. You see, the hospitals are growing. Every hospital is expanding. You look at our business, even during COVID also, we grew by 30%. So it's actually a recession, inflation-proof, and now we know that it's also COVID-proof.
You specialized in Asian generics, right? I think.
Yes, yes.
Why? Why not European or why not American?
Those days, when we started in the 80s, I tell myself, oh, you know, maybe we are too late. All the big lines have been taken over by other companies. You know? And then we started with biobank. But looking back, I think what we adopted was actually a blue ocean strategy. We go to places that people don't go. We go to Thailand. Then subsequently, we faced with some problems. 16 years later, we only know how to practice risk management. So one line cannot survive. You know, what happens if the factory gets burned down? So we get in more lines, and we went to places like Bangladesh, India, China, Pakistan.
Then you just got the licenser.
This is what we call blue ocean strategy. Nobody wants to go there, ma. But but they actually produce good medicine. We actually take our pharmacists there to go and audit the factory. We see what sort of standard they have.
So you exited the business, I think last year, right? Actually, quite recently.
February last year, I sold off my shares in the company.
Was that always the intention?
In 2012. I made the decision. To actually sell the company.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. At that time, because my dad, my sister, and my mother were staying in the same house. Two of them passed away, leaving my mother alone. So, and my dad, of course, he died of old age at 92. So I was telling myself, you know, life is so fragile. You know, you can go anytime. You know, so that's how I started my exit. But I told myself, this company will have no value. We are only a trading company. We must have a brand. That's how we started the brand in 2012. We have a health supplement brand called Vitamode. That's how we started.
That's where the real value was.
Yes, yeah. People buy because people want your brand.
You told me that owning a business is like having a house. It's always got to be saleable.
Yeah. So from there, you know,
that was when it started.
Yeah, that's how it started. Then actually in 2010 we implemented the ISO. You know, for 20 years we don't even have a policy. We don't have a company policy. So we came in, we put everything in order, handbook, organization chart. You know.
So the business was started in
1985.
So you're running it for 27 years before you decided not to continue as a trading business, to start to have your own IP?
Actually, from 1985 to 2001, we were very complacent. You know, we achieved a growth higher than the industry growth of 10% every year, with one Thai line. You know, until we hit the storm in 2001, we were taken to court for trademark infringement, which we were not guilty of, you know. So that's how I joined Vistage at that time. Following year, fortunately, I joined Vistage, and from there we put in everything, lay the groundwork, put in ISO, change the accounting system, upgrade the accounting system, bring in more lines. You know. So from there we grow, and that 2002 to 2010 we put everything in place, and from then on didn't look back. We grew fantastically for the past 10 years. We quadrupled our sales from 2011 at 23 million, and we ended up 2021, 92 million, 4 times, 4 folds.
What was your driving force behind starting a business? Was it the financial gain? Was it the fact that you wanted to be independent? What was it?
No, like what Robert Kiyosaki wrote in his book, you know, the cash flow quadrant. People always start off, when you leave school, you start off as an employee, first quadrant. So in your life, you must try to move to the second quadrant, which is business. Or you become in the fourth quadrant, you become an accountant, you become a dentist, professional, EBSI. You move to the right quadrant. Either you go into business, or now I can go into business and can be an investor. You see, so that was the thing that very early in life I wanted to become a businessman. after failing to become a pilot.
What does it take to be a successful businessman?
I think you must, through grit, passion, you must have passion and perseverance, and you must dare to dream. You must dare to dream and execute. Execution is very important. You know, no point dreaming and then you do nothing. Right. And you have to drive the business. As a CEO, you have to drive the business. If you don't drive, nothing moves. How did
you stay motivated? How did you stay energetic? You got to be fit as well, right? You got to be healthy.
Oh, I've been very active in sports. I play a lot of games, and then I joined Hash. I joined the Hash House Terriers in the 70s, and then I stopped for 30 years, and later on I came back in somewhere in mid 2000. And from there until now, I've been running Hash every weekend.
So I mean, I've been meeting some of the Vistage entrepreneurs. Some are young, some are old, some are quite old, some are into their 60s, and they're all energetic on. Wow, you work so hard, the stress must be very high, but yet the energy level is like redlining, you know.
I think it's all in the mind, you know. You have like your body is like a machine. You have to run it, you know.
So grit, determination, resilience, energy, those are important, right? Yes. Hard work cannot run, right? You have to also put your house in a saleable condition, right? That's what you did in 2012. Took you 10 years to execute, right? That sale, right? Any reason why you didn't want to leave it for your family or your succession, generational wealth?
I have 4 daughters and 1 son, but none of them are interested in the business. They don't see what I have actually built up over the years. So they want to do their own thing. And also I don't want to force into them to take over this business. You know, I'm sure they'll be very stressed if they can't do it. So the best thing is to sell it off and then maybe give them some seed money and do some investment. And my wife is also still running distribution business for cosmetics.
And she's also very successful.
Yeah.
So when you sold the business, I think Equinox, right?
Equinox.
Right. How did you negotiate the price? You want to get the best price? Do you want to get the lowest price? And then you met, right? The bid offer, right? How did you negotiate that?
I know how to do business, but I don't know how to value the company. So we engaged Barry Hodgson. So they did the valuation for us. It charged us $90,000. You know, the value was around 115 to 124. You know,
that's a slight premium to revenue, right? Yeah. Because you did 92 million in 21, right?
So from there we roughly know the value of my company. Yeah. That's how from there we negotiate.
You've done what a lot of people want to do eventually, right? Which is to, you know, cash out, put some money in the bank, have the freedom to do what you want to do. What do you do now?
The first thing I did was I took up real estate course, you know, how to invest in property. I know how to do business, but I don't know about property. So I took up a course. I paid about $6,000 online course during the MCO. And then I bought a factory. I bought 2 factories in Batu Kawan, near the Batu Kawan Industrial Park. Now I'm renting out for 12,000 each. Oh, so I got 24,000 every month.
Passive income.
Passive income.
Advice to people who have cashed out in terms of, you know, there's some who have done what you've done, right? Some are retired early, some are retired late, some cash out the business, they make their millions, right? What's your advice to these people?
I think having so much money, you must have the health. Money is secondary now. Now it's more important is the health. You have to walk, you have to run, you have to do whatever safe exercise, and then put some money, invest in property, put it in different baskets.
What's your advice to your children who come and talk to you about life? What do you tell them?
I tell them learn how to invest, how to grow your money. If you don't grow money, you keep on spending it. No matter how much money I give you, you also go. That's why each of them, I give them some seed money and ask them you can use 1/3, 2/3 must be invested. Teach them how to invest.
Do you help them manage it as well, or do you let them have a free hand?
I can see what they're doing. I can see. I can see what they're doing. Yeah.
Rules of investing for you, what are the rules? What do you know about investing that you want to share with other people?
don't invest all.
Keep cash?
Keep cash.
How many percent?
I would say you keep at least 40-50%.
That's very conservative.
Because you don't know, 30% maybe. In times like this, cash is king. This is time is cash is king. You invest everything now. Now the market goes up. What are you going to do?
Yeah, no more
right now, no more bullets already. So you have to keep. You cannot invest all. Invest. Don't be fully invested.
Mr. Teng Beng Lee, it's been a privilege and an honor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Come here.
Thank you.